Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Get somebody a double high five and say, I'm ready. Tony, some more mid-range, something like my old one, right? Okay. Okay, here we go. Yesterday, I said that most rich business people tend to think and do things in the same way. Yes or yes? And in this section, we're going to look at some of the key differences between the way rich guerrilla business owners work and broke business owners work. Yes? Now, one thing is to learn from this information, learn it, but another thing is to put it into action. Into what? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to create a separate sheet, a separate page in the back of your book, or a separate sheet somewhere that's folded up, and it's entitled Guerrilla Business School Actions. Guerrilla Business School what? Actions. Actions. And as we go through, I'm going to ask you to write there. And plus, you can record any action ideas that hit you in that spot. So let's say you're working with me or another one of the trainers. If you have an idea that says, oh man, in my business, I'm going to do this. Or I'm going to get this person to do, yes? Or I need to hire this. Then where do you write it? In your Guerrilla Business School what? Actions. So that at the end of the seminar, you have one sheet you can go to and say, these are the things I need to do. Yes or yes? It's not a sheet for taking notes on everything. Because that's going to get, gefuffled and everything mixed up. One sheet. How many sheets? One. Of all pure action. Yes? Okay, good. If you don't own a business yet, I want you to pretend that you're the president of the company that you work for and use that company as your model for practicing here. Or you can imagine that you're in your ultimate future business and use that as a model. If you do own a business for everything we're talking about here, then I want you to use your current business as your model. Or if you're not crazy about your current business and you're considering something new and different, and you know what that is, maybe use that as a model to work with. Yes? Okay, good. All right. So does everyone have their Guerrilla Business School action sheet ready to go? Okay, thank you. So marker, folder, whatever you can. All right, here we go. You've got a business, or you're going to start one day. From a financial point of view, what is your intention? What is your intention? Tell somebody your intention. What is your intention? From a financial standpoint, what is your intention of your business? Tony? Okay. Now, financially, that's not bad. Financially, most people say the goal is to make what? Make what? Make money. But that's not specific enough. If you have a wishy-washy intention, you're going to get what kind of result? Wishy-washy result. So, rich business people have this. What do they have? How many intentions? Three intentions that they want to achieve in business. Poor business people, they have how many? One. They have one. So here are their intentions. All right. The first intention is they want to have excellent what? Working income. What's the word? Working income. Excellent working income. Raise your hand if you want to have an excellent working income. Now that's where most people stop. That's their entire idea of business. But that is not how rich business people think or operate. Again, I want to make the distinction right now that you didn't come to Guerrilla Business School to do mediocre, to get by, to be comfortable. You came here to learn how rich people get rich in business. Yes or yes? Raise your hand if that's why you came. All right. So that's one of the key things. Rich people think differently, and working income isn't enough. The other thing that you want to be thinking about with your business is you want to have what? A massive passive income. You want to create a massive passive income using your business. And the third thing is you want to build the what? the value and worth of your company. The value and worth of your company. So that one day, should you decide to sell it, it's windfall. It's like $5, $10, $20 million in your pockets. Raise your hand if you could handle that, okay? So how many intentions are there? How many intentions are there? How many do most people work with? Do you see the difference? Now, would you make different choices and decisions if the other two were in play? Of course you would. And that's how rich people play. Poor people have an intention to earn a decent living or to be comfortable. They don't even consider their business as a vehicle to create passive income and wealth. Let me say this right now. If you want to earn a decent living or be comfortable, get a job. Get a job. A business is not a job. A business is too much work, and there's too many challenges and headaches for just earning a decent living. Yes or yes? A business is designed to be a vehicle to set you free and create what? Wealth. What's the word? Wealth. So, I'm going to ask you in a moment here to set some intentions here. But before I do that, I want you to remind you of a couple of things. The first thing is this. It's really one thing. Think big. What is it? Think big. I can't hear you. Think big. Set your goals or promises or however you want to term them. Set them what? Set them high. Set them high. Tell me why you want to think big. You've heard it before, but tell me why. That's right, because listen, if you have an intention or a goal or a promise that's small, what's going to happen? Well, that's going to be your result, right? We have this thing kind of cockeyed in our mind that, we'll set our major intention here and then we'll be able to achieve it. That's the problem. The problem isn't that your goals are too high and you don't achieve them, is that they're too low and you do achieve them. You understand? That's the problem. If you want to be rich, you have to set what? Rich goals, rich intentions, rich promises. Remember our saying, if you shoot for the stars, you're at least going to hit the what? Understand? So you got to have a much, much bigger promise, a much bigger intention for what you're going for here. And you might say to yourself, well, I don't really need all that. I don't know if I need all. I don't want to work that hard, to have that. But don't forget, there's two things at work. Number one, shoot for the stars, you're at least going to hit the what? Right? If you don't shoot for that, you won't even hit here. If you shoot for here, you'll hit down here. Yes? Yes or yes? That's the first thing. And the second thing is it true or not true that if your intentions are up here, that you will have to think and act differently than if your intentions are down here? Which one will produce results of wealth? This one or this one? The first one or the second one? The first one. So you will have to get rich in business, you have to think rich and you have to do rich. But you can't think rich or do rich if your intention isn't rich. Yes? So whatever you've been thinking is your goal in some of these areas, I need you to revamp that and multiply it by a factor of 10. So I'll give you an example. Let's say someone has a goal of that they want to, their financial freedom goal completely, bless you, is, $20 million. And they think if I have $20 million working for me and net worth, whatever, that's plenty to live on for the rest of my life. My kids will have a nice life. Raise your hand if you think that's not a bad idea. Come on, raise your hand. Be honest. Hey, I used to think so. I did. I used to think that. But you know what? If you're starting to moving in the, even if you're starting moving in the $5 or $10 million range, that's great. But if you're thinking 20 million, you'll have to do your business in a certain way. But if you're thinking 100 million, you have to do your business differently, right? And how many more people are you going to serve if your intention is to have 100 million versus 20 million? You have to serve 5 times as many people and more, yes? And so literally, the intention, the higher intention, doesn't have as much to do with how much you're putting in your pocket. It has more to do with who you have to become, what your business has to become, how many more people you have to help and serve, how much higher your quality has to be in your product and your systems in all arenas. Everything has to change when you try to go to this level than this level. In other words, the rules are different when you're trying to be a 10 versus a 7. Yes? Yes? So I want you to raise your standards. First thing I got taught is you need to raise your standards of what you think is where you want to be in your intentions. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, I want you to write down your promises or goals in these 3 areas: your working income, your passive income, and the value of your company if you were to sell. So what is your intention? Working income per year, annual working income. It can either be profit or it can be money in your pocket, whatever, still working income. Okay, what's your intention? What's your intention for passive income per year? Coming from your business. That if you were to go to the beach and lie there for a year, this is how much money would still come in. And the value of your company. If you were going to sell this company, what would it be worth? I'm going to ask you to stretch. Go ahead and write those numbers down. Now, if you don't get a little tinge in your heart going, oh, I don't know about this one, then they're not high enough. They're too easy for you, too normal for you. You've got to stretch. What do you have to do? If you don't stretch your intention, you'll never stretch yourself. Yes or yes? If you're let's say you're a high jumper, okay? And you're in high school or in college, and your intention is to high jump 6 feet, which is pretty high, yes? But if that's your goal, what are you ever going to do? 6 feet. Whereas if you say, well, the world champion high jumps 8'1", I want to high jump 8'2". You have to be a whole different person. Your training has to be completely, your coaching has to be different. Everything has to be different. Yes or yes? Now, when that person who's now jumping, 5'8", says 8'2", don't you think there's something that goes on? If they said, they're jumping 5, say, well, my intention is to jump 6 feet. There's no stretch. There's nothing going on, right? But if they say, no, I'm going to jump 8 foot, well, then there's guy go, well, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it. If your mind doesn't say, well, I'm not sure about this, I don't know then it's not high enough. Because you're not stretched. Yeah, your mind's going to do that because it's unfamiliar. What's it going to be? Unfamiliar. Your mind does that. It freaks out. Yes or yes? So if it's unfamiliar, that's a good sign. If it's too familiar, it's not a good sign. If your mind doesn't say anything, you haven't stretched your own comfort zone yet, even for your own mind, which gives you heck all the time anyways. So if your mind's not saying anything like, oh, I don't know about this one, I think you're overdoing what he said by a little bit, huh? Okay? If your mind isn't saying something, you're not stretching. You're not stretching it. When you stretch your mind, what does it do? It kicks and screams because it's unfamiliar. Yes or yes? So make sure you got some mind chatter going. All right? Make sure it's appropriate for you, but it's got to have some, I don't know about this. All right? Good, I can feel you're a little uncomfortable now. Yes? Okay, raise your hand if you're uncomfortable now. Okay, that's a great sign. Give someone a high five and say, good work, good work. Okay, so I want you to find, listen closely, I want you to find a partner or two 1 or 2 people to be with you, so there's a total of 2 or 3, and if someone's by themselves, turn around and either make it a double or a triple or invite them with you, but we don't leave anybody left alone, yes? Okay, so find a partner or 2, real quick, just where you are. 2 or 3 people. All right, 2s or 3s. All right, shh. Raise your hand if you don't have a partner. Okay, good. And now, jump in with somebody. And now what I want you to do is I want you to share with them your 3 intentions as far as what those numbers are. Go. Switch on your own. Switch on your own. Simply about buying or creating something and then what? Selling it for more than it cost you. That's it. Poor people and very middle-class people in the arena of business put most of their energy into administration and operations and high-tech perfection. And yes, operations are very important. And yes, high-tech is very important, but it is not the essence of what? Business. Go back to the cave people. Here's a piece of meat. I want your club. That's it. There's no customer service. There's no tech support. There's no finance department. There's no furniture. There's no computers. There's no contact software. That club, my meat, let's do it. The essence of business, therefore, is that you buy or create something here and you sell it for more than it costs you there. That's it. Say, that's it. That's it. Nothing more. Now, buying or creating and selling. Everything else is just icing around the cake. When my kids were 4 and 6 years old, I remember them having that lesson very, very deeply ingrained into them. And, we were talking about business and everything, and I kind of said, well, all you have to do is really have something to sell and sell it. And my daughter, bless her little heart, she's a little creative artist. So I said, but you do have to have something that people want. And she said, well, what would they want? And I said, well, that's up to you, but, things that make their life better. So she went downstairs, and it looks like she went out into the little lawn area that we had, and she picked up a bunch of stones, maybe 20 stones, and about half an hour later she came to me, and they were all on a newspaper, and they were all painted all these different colors. And she said, this will make people's houses beautiful. 6 years old. I said, so now you have what you're selling, what do you have to do? She says, now I have to sell it. I said, good, who are you going to sell it to? She said, I'll sell it to Diane and Ken and all the neighbors, right? I says, well, then go do that. So, of course, I had to kind of walk behind her. And she took her newspaper with the stones, and she would knock on the door, and she'd say, I have these stones to make your house more beautiful. And they said, how much are they? And she said, $1 a stone. And literally in 3 minutes, she made $7, went to 3 houses. Of course, she has a little advantage being a 6-year-old like that, right? And she made $7 in 3 minutes. She learned the essence of what? Business. Now, you see, the thing, we didn't have to enter all the sales on the computer. Didn't have a contact. We didn't have to program the thing. There wasn't any finance department. She took the $7, she stuffed it in her pocket. It's over. Made some stones, sold them, put the money in her pocket. That's business. Everything else is extremely peripheral. And yet, isn't that where many people put their attention? Yes or yes? All right. I'll give you another example with my other child. When he was 18, which is a short time ago, he asked me for some money for a party. Now, he gets a very substantial allowance. And I said, why would I give you money for a party? He says, well, I spent my money for this month already, and I want to have a party. I says, well, if you spent your money for this month, that's not my fault. You'll have to create a way to have your party. And so he says, okay, Dad, I see what you're doing. It's okay, got it. So anyways, I was out of town, and he calls me up a day later on the Sunday, and I go, how's it going? He goes, I had my party last night. I said, really? How'd you do that? He says, it was a great party. He says, I bought 2 kegs of beer. I borrowed the money from a friend for $250. I charged $10 a head to come into the party. We had 40 kids that paid and 20 girls that didn't. That was how I got the 40 to come in. So I picked up $400, made $150, and had my party. So there, Dad. I said, you learned the lesson. My meat for your club. That's it. You know, he was very happy about that, but I believe he was a little bit more enamored with the all he could drink part of the business. But that's beside the point. So, again, the point is, if you understand business, you will always do well. If you understand what the essence of business is, and tell me what it is. Buy or create something and sell it for more than it costs. That's it. Simple, yes? But very unusual in the world. So, how many parts then are there to every business? That's right, there are actually 3 parts to every business. There's the buy or create, there's the sell, and then there's the administration. Now here's the thing that most people understand. The administration right here, what are you administering? What are you administering? The process of the buy to sell. That's what you're administering that. That's what it is. This and of itself is a non-issue. There's nothing going on there. This is the glue that puts this and this together. That's it. And what do people do? They somehow forget about this one. Or, more likely, forget about that one. And put all their attention right on the glue. And they wonder why they're stuck. I just made that up. That was really good. You need to laugh, okay? I have to write it down. I'm sure the next group won't laugh. Unless I remind them. The last group laughed. Okay. Anyways. All right. Now, so in real business, we have formal names for everything. And let's look at the formal names. Again, my job is to make it all simple. Make it all what? Are you getting that? If you make it simple, business will be simple and easy, and you'll be able to do it. Otherwise, it'll be very complicated with a lot of stuff that you heard that doesn't mean much. All right. So we have formal names for everything. And here are the names that we use for those processes. What are they? Production, what is it? Product or production, that's what your product is, whether it's a service or a product. What is the selling portion called? Marketing. And what's the last one called? Operations. Okay, so there's production, marketing, and operations. Every business, what business? Every business has how many pieces to it? 3 basic pieces. You can put every other department under only those 3 areas. So sales, where does it go under? Marketing, good. Let's say shipping, where does that go under? Operations, very good. Let's say computer finance, where does it go under? IT, what's it go under? Unless it's your actual product, very good. The process of your designing your workshop, where does that go under? Production, very good, very good. In our case, logistics, where does it go under? No, it's part of the program. So for us, that's part of production. It's what we're producing. This is our product. Yes or yes? Okay, it's part of it. Very good. Internally in the office, the people who run logistics are part of operations, but actually we put them under production because it is our product. It is part of it. Okay. So now this is the big one here. Look at these three areas. What's this one? What's this one? What's this one? Okay, look at this area. Do you get paid anything for this? Very good. Do you get paid anything for this? Do you get paid anything for this? Thank you. So the only time you get paid is when you sell something. Yes or yes? The only time that there's any money that can come your way is when you what? Now, if the only time you get paid is when you sell something, where does your focus have to be? Marketing and sales. Now, I want to get a little sampler of who's in this room. I want you to take a moment and tell your neighbors, both of them, what business you're actually in. What is your business? Go ahead, like, what is it, real estate or computers or consulting? What business are you in? Tell your neighbors what business you're in. Just call it out. Real estate, very good. Consulting, very good. What kind of consulting? IT consulting, good, you should talk to us. Okay, what else? What is it? Art, good, art. Hairstylist, very good. Health services, excellent. All right, here it is. Wrong. Every one of you is in the exact same business, the business of marketing. You are in the marketing business offering consulting services, real estate elements, art, whatever else was put out there. And if you can switch that around in your head, I guarantee you'll earn 10 times the money. If your energy, your mindset, your actions, your strategic planning is focused on your real business, which is the business of what? Marketing, everything will change. That's a promise. That is rule number one in the difference between rich business people and broke ones. Where their focus is. And if you're already focusing on marketing, double it. So, repeat this with me. I am in the business of marketing, and then whatever your service or product is. Go. I am in the business of marketing. Okay, tell somebody else. Okay, now, shh. One of the richest men, one of the wealthiest businessmen in history, his name was Howard Ruff. Howard what? And he said this, he said, if I could teach my children only one thing, it would be the skill of marketing and sales. For with that skill, they could be successful in any business they chose for the rest of their lives. Good or good? Now, where do most people spend their time and energy? On producing their product, on doing their product or delivering their service, and on administration, on paperwork, on finance, on graphics, on high tech, on perfection in those arenas. All of those are important, yes or yes? But you can still succeed without the best of any of those. You can. I have a little secret I have to share. I know that it's going to startle a lot of you. Raise your hand if you are under 35. Under 35. Okay, you guys are going to maybe faint, so be careful here. Those between 35 and 50, 35 and 50, you kind of know this a little bit. 50 and over, 50 and over. Okay, you guys are going to go, well, of course. But just be careful. You're going to have to resuscitate the young ones here, okay? Be careful, okay? Now, I don't mean to harm anybody, so I should make you sign a release before I do this. Okay, I'm going to say something here. Millions. How many? Millions. How many? Millions. Millions of people became wealthy long before computers were ever invented. Okay, now don't faint on me here. Don't faint on me here. There was no such thing. It's not possible. No. It's an example. It's an example of how people blow off their time and energy into areas that don't earn money. Even if you make your money with computers, the computer doesn't earn a dime. Only the selling process earns anything. Yes or yes? You know, in my company, I have to admit, we are a marketing-based company. Yes? Even though we believe we have a fantastic product and we're constantly working on it. If we didn't market it, there'd be 3 people in the room. Yes or yes? So can you blend it to where you're a marketing-based company and still have a fantastic product? You better. That's part of marketing almost, that you have a great product. Yes? Or service, whatever it is you're providing. So literally, we are a marketing-based company, but it's very funny because we're so marketing-based, and I am so marketing-based, which is the reason we have one of the most successful seminar companies in the world, because I have to be honest with you. Please don't shoot me for this. There's no competition. It's unbelievable. And the reason there's no competition is almost every other trainer is trainer-based, speaker-based. They're talk-based. Well, that's great, but they don't sell anything. They can't sell. They can't market. They don't understand that. They're not business people. They're speakers. I would never intended on being a speaker. I was a business person who did well finally, and now I just share what worked for me. Understand? So first business. Now I come to this world from the business world. They come to business from their speaker world. They're authors. Wonderful. Notice, this is the most important thing on my book. It's the title, right? No. Look, Think Rich to Get Rich. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Mastering the Image Game. T. Harv Eker. New York Times. Wall Street Journal. USA. Not one of those words is important. The only important word on this book is bestseller. You see, it doesn't say best writer. It doesn't say best author, doesn't say best trainer, doesn't say best looking. It says best what? Thank you. That's why you're in the room. Give it a round of applause. All right. So here's the thing. I want you to write down in the what? How much time and energy have you focused in each of these areas? And be honest. So for example, in the past, out of your 100%, for a lot of people, maybe they've spent, 30% here and 50% here and maybe 20% here or different. But for you, write down what in the past, be honest, what your energy, focus, attention has been on. Because we're here to learn, and you have to see it right in front of you. Okay, go ahead. What percentage have you been working with here in these 3 areas? Write it down for yourself. Okay, all right. Now, here's what I want you to do. Shh. If you have numbers close to this, fine. If not, you're going to do whatever I do right on here. Whatever number you have, if it's not identical to this, I want you to do. This is a minimum. It's a what? Minimum. This is a minimum. What is it? Minimum. Okay, are you ready? All right, here's my thoughts. Minimum, how much? 60%. 60%. $60, 20, 20. 60, 20, 20. 60% of every business moment. 60% of all your planning, 60% of all your energy, 60% of your money, 60% of every resource, 60% of your personnel and employees goes into what? That change alone will multiply your income by 10, multiply your passive availability by 10, and multiply the value of your company by 1,000. It is the difference between broke and middle-class business people and rich ones. Do you understand? You don't. Do you understand? But Harv, I don't like marketing and sales. It's not my arena. All right, two choices. Number one, start liking it. Make it your arena. Learn it. Number two, hire someone for your company who does like it and is really good at it. And pay them well. Because they're the only thing you've got in your company that's making you any money. Do you understand? All right, pull out your action sheets. And what actions, write down, what do you have to do to put more focus on sales and marketing in your company or your company to be? What do you have to do? What actions do you have to take? What do you have to let go of? What do you have to bring on? What do you have to do? Yes? Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how this fits with a service-based business because there's only so many hours I can work. And if I promote, I get great more and more patients, but I don't know what to do with so many.
Right. So the question was, that's okay, I've got it. It's okay, I've got it. Thank you. Thank you for the question. The question is, I'm in a service-based business, and there's only so many hours I can work. And if I put all this time in to promote, when can I possibly deliver my service? You can't, which is perfect, and the reason you're here. Okay? Let's start here, and by the end of this 4 days, you won't be in the same business anymore. You will not do your business the same at all. Understand? You'll be in the marketing business, and you'll make some money for a change, I gather. Real money. Okay? Yes or yes? Okay, very good. Give a round of applause for asking the questions. Very good. Because last week, what we find is a good 60 to 70% of the entire room was in a, let's call it a service business, where they were the service. Okay, by the time that thing was over, it takes a while to chisel it through their heads. A while, believe it or not, just like in 4.5 days to do it. But by the end, their eyes were all glazed and going, I think I have to do my whole business differently. Yeah. Because how's it working so far? All right. So, again, now share with your partner or partners what you wrote down as your actions. Go. Please stand up for the declaration. Hands on your heart, please. I focus most of my business energy on marketing and sales.
I focus most of my business energy on marketing and sales.
Again.
I focus most of my business energy on marketing and sales.
One more time, twice as loud, please.
I focus most of my business energy on marketing and sales.
Turn to somebody, look me in the eye, give them a high five and say, you have a gorilla business mind. Next. By the way, as I said earlier, if you're not an expert in marketing and sales yet, then what do you need to become? Okay, I'll talk to people who've been asking me already about it. Please don't ask me. I'll announce it near the middle or the end of the program. A lot of you know we have a pretty new program called the World's Greatest Marketing Seminar. It was developed because of this course. It was developed because of this section. It was going, well, that's all fine and dandy, Harv. I want to focus, but what the heck do I do? How do I even know this? Where do you learn it? In school? Yeah, if you want to take 15 years and be broke. So I'll talk about it later. Now, even though what you want to focus on is marketing and sales, those are only still means to an end. Because again, most people, they put their attention only on revenue, money coming in, yes? But rich people, they put their attention on 3 or 4 elements. Actually 4, we'll talk about them. The first thing that you have to understand something that most people, I don't think they get it, okay? And that is, of course, that revenue equals profits, yes? One of the most important things you have to understand is that revenue does not equal profits. Money coming in, as Bill Bartman has suggested even yesterday in our discussion, he had a word for it. He said, revenue is a fool's game. That's what he said. Revenue is a fool's game. It's trickery. How much revenue does American Airlines have every year? How many billions? A lot of billions. How many? The place is bankrupt. United, billions. Half the companies out there, billions and billions and billions, and they're bankrupt. Because revenue has not a lot to do, has something to do, but not everything to do with profit. What do you want, revenue or profit? All right, now, so rich people understand there are 4 elements to focus on. How many? 4. I can't hear you. 4 elements to focus on. Here's what they are. What are the 4 elements to focus on? The first one is what? Revenue what? Increasing revenue. Yes or yes? The next one is what? What do you want to do with profit? Increase profit. The next one is what? Cash flow. What do you want to do? Keep cash flow high. And the next one is what? Expenses. What do you want to do? Now, what kind of business would you have if you were focused on increasing your what? Increasing your what? Increasing your what? And decreasing your what? Tell me what kind of business you'd have. A great business. Because you're focusing on 4 areas that mean something. If you only focus here, you're in big, big trouble. If you only focus here, you're in big trouble. If you miss any one of these, then you're in big trouble. So what do you have to do? Focus on all what? All 4. What do you have to do? Focus on all what? When? At the same time. All 4 at the same time. Those are your key things you're looking for. So you're going to find out in your company, how's revenue doing this week? How's profits doing this week or month? How's our cash flow? What's our expense picture look like? Very 4 simple things. You handle those 4 simple shoe boxes, you're in good shape. Yes or yes? Do you ask those questions? Do you ask them every month? Do you ask them every week? Probably not. Why? Because you don't know to ask them. Now you know. You ask, where attention goes, energy flows and results show. Say it with me. Where attention goes, energy flows and results show. Where you track is where you get your results, yes? What are you going to track? What are you going to track? What's the first one? What's the second one? What's the third one? What's the fourth one? So what I do, for example, is that each month I kind of like put my stamp on one of them. So I'll get all the directors together and going, we need to increase revenue. Da, 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 da. What can we do to increase revenue? And they'll go, and they'll put the others in. The next month I'll be going, you know what? Our profits suck compared to revenue. Where's the profit? Let's get some profit in here. Well, we better work on profit. Next month I'll say, cash flow. We got to increase our cash flow. Money coming in before money going out. And next month I'll say, okay, I want to tighten the belt on expenses around here. And they start working on that. Good or good? That's how you do it. Those are the 4 elements you work with. Then if you're the only person in your company, which won't be for long, then that's what you'll do. All right. So, why do you have to keep your focus also on low expenses? Keeping your expenses low. Tell me why. That's right. That's what determines profit. Okay, revenue minus your expenses basically is going to equal your profit. So poor people and middle class people, they believe if they have plenty of money coming in, everything's okay. Problem. 2 problems. Number 1, people have no idea as to how big an issue or challenge your expenses can be. What a big role they play on your bottom line, your profitability. All right, now I'm going to show you something here that's going to be surprising. You want to argue with it? That's fine. You'll be broke. But this is the way I look at it. Watch. This is basically how it works. If you have, let's say we're dealing with 20% is your profit on revenue. Let's just say that's your company. That might be a pretty high, but let's say that is. If that means for every $100 that comes in, how much are you left with before taxes? Okay, that means how much is in, for example, operational or production, let's call it expense. How much is left? How much? Okay, that leaves 80% is in expenses of some sort in the company. Yes? Yes or yes? Now, let's say in that model that you buy an ad or a brochure, and the brochure costs, you get brochures for $2,000. That is $2,000 of expense. How much money do you have to bring in revenue in order to pay for that expense? That's right. You have to bring in $10,000 to pay for that. See, most people think that if I spend $2,000, if I bring in $2,000, I make my money back. Wrong! What about your expenses? What about the rest of the company? If you're only netting 20%, you have to bring in 5 times more than that for every single dollar you spend. What if your company's only netting 10% of your revenue? You have to now bring in 10 times more than that for every dollar you spend. Wow, you're quiet. How many of you think it's a little more important to look at expenses than you thought? Yes or yes? It's the way to sure is just increase those expenses. So many people have gone broke with their what? Yeah, and there's not that many people who have gotten broke with their profits. Not that I know of. All right. So you have to put this formula into every decision that you make. For example, I was recently deciding on whether I want to bring in another executive. The executive is going to cost me over $100,000 a year. If we do 20% net, then how much would that executive have to bring in? I'll answer questions later, okay? How much would that executive have to bring in or be responsible for somehow be worth in order for me to pay them $100,000 a year? We have 20%. They have to bring in $500,000 a year more. We'd have to do $500,000 a year because that person was in the company, or we'd have to save that kind of money. Yes or yes? They have to be willing to. They have to save the kind of money that they have. All right. In short, it's essential to watch the what? The bottom line. The idea is to put equal focus on increasing revenues and decreasing expenses. Equal focus on what? Increasing what? Revenue and decreasing what? And that equals what? Profit. Thank you. The second problem with focusing only on revenue is something called timing. Timing. What's the word? Okay, I'm gonna give you a sign when the jokes are coming, okay? That way you'll get ready to laugh. All right. There's a big difference. What kind of difference? Between money in and money that will be coming in. This leads to the importance of cash flow. Cash flow. Most people run into trouble in their business because they cannot pay their expenses. Not necessarily because they don't have the sales or revenue, but because the revenue hasn't come in yet, but the bills have. Understand? Raise your hand if you can relate at all. Okay, now, by far more people go out of business because of poor timing than poor sales. And that's why guerrilla business owners do their best not to get involved in any businesses that are based on receivables. Say this with me. Receivables suck. Receivables suck. Tell somebody else. Receivables suck. Thank you. See that? Tell me they teach you that in Harvard Business School. I don't think they're going to say receivables suck, okay? Meaning you get paid well after you deliver your service or your product. That sucks. All right. How many people notice the Peak Potentials training model? Participants always pay when? Before or after the program? How far advance? Plenty advance. First you pay, then we deliver. Yes or yes? More on this in a few minutes. Preserving cash is especially important at the startup phase or the early phase of any business or project. Yes or yes? I want to tell you a quick story about a young man who was new in business, and he asked his very rich grandfather for advice as to where to buy a desk in town. And the grandfather said, "Why do you need a desk?" And the young man said, "So I can make some sales." To which the grandfather replied, "You don't need a desk to get sales, you need sales to get a desk." First bring in the money, and then you can begin to spend it. To this day, the young man, to keep that focus, still doesn't have a formal desk. He uses his cell phone to make appointments. From his car, he spends all day long visiting and selling accounts and using their desk. And he's very, very rich. Good or good? Poor people, poor business people, put their money into beautiful new furniture and offices and equipment and the latest and greatest in computers and printers and scanners and photocopiers and software and programming. And then they attempt to go out and find some customers. Rich people, business people, understand that first you get the customer and then you can get whatever else you want. Yes or yes? So you have to constantly think about this word. What's the word? Cash. Maybe you've heard this before, and now you know why. What's it say? One more time, please. See, cash is the lifeblood of your company. It is the blood of your company. You can't live without blood. Cash is the blood of your company. If it's not flowing, if it's not going, if it's stopped and it's not coming into you, you've got a problem. You can have thousands of promises, thousands of IOUs, thousands of receivables. It does you no good when the rent comes due. True or true? It does you no good when you have to pay your people. It does you no good when you have to pay yourself. So, people always ask, for example, should I buy or rent or lease? What do I do? Good questions, yes? Here's a simple rule. You can write them down or not. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. This is my simple rule. You don't have to follow it. What do? Cash high, you what? It's a rhyme. What do? Cash high, you what? So cash high, buy. Let me hear you. Cash low, what do? Rent or lease. Rent or lease. Now, this is a very important thing, especially near the beginning of any project or new things that you're operating. Every business I've ever started for my entire life, I began with rented or used furniture, rented equipment, rented computers, rented everything. Rented everything. A lot of people say, Harv, you're stupid. Why would you do that? If you're going to rent, you're never going to get that money back. It's blood money. You shouldn't rent. Renting, they say, renting is expensive. You know what's expensive? Going broke is very expensive. Yes or yes? That's more expensive. The difference between rich people and broke people is that rich people, when they have a lot of money, they spend a little of it. That's why they're rich. And broke people, poor people, when they have a little bit of money, they spend a lot of it. That's why they're broke. Yes or yes? So, take your action sheet, Guerrilla Business School actions, and write down. Number one, what expenses can I decrease? What expenses do I need to decrease? And number two, how can I change my structure to decrease or eliminate any receivables? How can I change my structure to decrease or eliminate the process of receivables? So number one, what expenses can I decrease? And number two, how can I eliminate or decrease receivables? 2 minutes, go. Okay. In short, if you can get a Home Depot or a Walmart or a Price Club or a GM or a Nextel to buy your product and resell it or use it, there's a good chance you're going to get what? Rich. If you get your product on high volume channels like Home Shopping Network or QVC and you do fairly well, there's a good chance you're going to get what? And for, again, those of you who have already registered for World's Greatest Marketing Seminar, as far as getting on those channels, you think it's hard? We're actually going to be bringing to you one of the originators of the channels and show you not only how to get in, but how to pitch it, how to do it. And here's the thing. If you could do it on television, you can do it anywhere. Good or good? Yeah. Peak potentials. A couple of things we're looking at right now is offering the Millionaire Mind Intensive, the 3-day, to Century 21 for all of their offices worldwide. What about Merrill Lynch, all of their brokers worldwide? Who do we have to sell? The brokers? No. We'll have to sell them later on coming to it, but we only have to sell one more person. And then that's it. 500,000 new students. Boom, just like that. One stroke of the pen. Good or good? Say, I can do this. I'm going to start thinking this way. Very good. All right, take your action sheet. Who could purchase a large amount of my product or service at once or over time? It could be corporations, could be organizations, could be government. Who could purchase a large amount of my product or services at once or over time? And don't get into, but I can't provide that much because you're in a service business. You will probably have to what? Hire a group of people to fulfill what you do. Yes or yes? Remember, where's the money? In the doing or in the selling? Where's the money? Doing or selling? You sell it, get somebody else to do it. You can make a fortune rubbing hands. Well, I may be exaggerating a little bit. Well, you could if you marketed and packaged it right. You know, this is the vibratory level of the universe, da 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 da. Every one of them is a $20 bill. Yeah. 7 rubs is $7,000. Only the high end, right? Madonna will have her hands rubbed by you. Then you use Madonna, right? Can I rub your hands? Okay. We rub Madonna's hands. Wonderful. Okay. Who could purchase a large amount of my product or services at once? Doesn't mean who's going to. It's who could. Who is doing it from somebody else already? Who's doing consulting services that are, are buying hundreds of thousands of dollars of consulting services right now? Write it down, guys. You got to put this is your time. See, I do my thing up here. This is your thing. You've got to put on your thinking cap and be with this. You can't be staring at me. This is the time where you've got to think about your business or your business to be and determine, really come up with some stuff here. You go, well, this doesn't pertain to my business. Yes, it does. Figure out how it can work. The idea here is if it doesn't pertain to your business, any of the things I'm saying here, what's the obvious answer? You better change businesses. Because you're playing in a loser's game. If you can't do any of this. Yes or yes? Change business or change business structures. If you can't do this, I don't know what you're doing. I'll give you an example, one more example of another one of our students. Learned this lesson, again, high volume, big ticket, whatever. He, a carpenter, sole proprietor, one-man show, high-end carpenter, but he was a wizard. He could kind of create out of wood and even plastics pretty well anything you needed, things that didn't even exist yet. Learned this lesson, calls me up 3 weeks later, he says, guess who I landed as a client? I said, who? He goes, have you ever heard of Paramount Pictures? I said, yeah. He said, guess what? I was, after your course, instead of going in there and pleading with them to get a carpenter job, I sold them on the idea of me taking the entire contract for all their movies. I'm in the process right now. I hired an HR person as my partner. We're looking for 67 carpenters just for Paramount. He said, next week, I have an appointment with Universal. I said, wow. He says, you know what? I'm not doing much hammering lately. Good or good? See, that's why it can work for anybody. Think bigger. People who buy big numbers. Okay. Articulate. Share with your partner or partners. What are some of the actions you can do here about getting people to buy large amounts, high volume buyers? Who are some of the high volume buyers possibly? With names. And please thank your partners. Please thank your partners. And please stand up for the declaration. Thank you. Stand up. Good work. Hands on your heart. I deal with high volume buyers.
I deal with high volume buyers.
Again.
I deal with high volume buyers.
Again.
I deal with high volume buyers.
Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, you have a guerrilla business mind. Rich people use creative financing methods and get all the money they need. Most other people, they try for conventional financing methods and seldom get a dime. If you don't have the capital right now to start a business or for a new project, because you're in business and you want to try something different, for example, add on something, but you don't have the capital right now, you have a few options. Here are your options. Would you like to see them? Yes. Here are your options. Again, if you don't have the capital, you have a few options. Number one, do something else. You laugh, but I mean it, do something else. A lot of people, they're so stuck on the thing they're going to do, and it takes a whole bunch of money. I want to open this magnificent restaurant. It's going to be da-da-da-da. It's going to have the best in the finance, da-da-da. And what happens? Nothing. They never get into that business. They never get into any business. They're stuck in whatever they do because it's got to be that. They don't have the money. They don't know how to get financing, and they're stuck, and they never do it. Open something that doesn't take that much. Like open a different business or something if you have to. But get into a business that works, yes or yes. Or do it, but do it what? If you're going to open this amazing da-da-da with the master chefs of the world and you don't have the money, then you know what? Start off with the not-so-master chefs of the world and open a hamburger joint next door for a little kiosk. Do something. Just start it different. Start small. When I was broke, again, I was in Florida and I had an opportunity to get an exclusive on a brand new product coming in from China. And the product was called a pen watch. Maybe you saw them. It was a pen with a little digital watch on the end of it, and you could see what time it was. So your pen had a little watch. Anybody ever seen something like that? Wow, you probably bought them from me, anyways, or through me, anyways. So I had an exclusive. I had an opportunity to get the exclusive. I was right there on the docks in Fort Lauderdale when the boats came in. Only problem, I didn't have any what? I didn't have any money. And so, thank God they didn't give away the exclusives just yet. But in the first box, I went down because I heard they were coming. I heard about this thing. I read it in a China. I used to, read import-export things, and I read it in a China exportation thing. And we're coming in. Somebody had imported them. They didn't know how to market them, whatever. So I went right down, met the guy at the boat, and you know how much money I had? I had less than $100. I had no money at all. And if I gave away $100, I didn't eat that day. My rent was due in 2 days. I had no clue what to do here. But I had this opportunity. So I said to them, is there any way that you can front me some pens? And the guy goes, not on your life. I don't even know who you are. Forget it. 20 pens? No. 100 pens? No. 10 pens? No. Nothing. Cash right now. So I took $80 and I bought the pens that I could buy with $80. And I'm thinking I'm going to have the exclusive. I'm going to be selling in Kmart's and Walmart's and every pen company in the world. And I'm going to make billions of dollars. And all I could get was about something like, I think at that time, maybe 20 pens. 20 pens for $80, $4 a pen. So, and then how am I going to sell them? So I didn't have any more money. Again, I either ate that day or didn't have $20 to my name, period. And I already used all the credit I had with 2 restaurants from before. So yeah, I had credit with restaurants because I wasn't able to eat that well, okay? And so I went there and I went to the flea market. And I said, you know what, I know there's people in this market, I have this new product, I'm going to sell these pens there. But I couldn't afford a booth. A booth was $30. And I didn't have a booth. So it was $2 to get in. So I paid the $2 to get in. And I went around until I found a person who would let me use the end of his table and put my pens on it, and I made him my partner for the day. And I said, I'll split all my profits with you. He says, oh, these things are really good. I gave him a pen watch. That was already $4 out of my name. And I'll split my profits with you. And I sold them for $10. And you can get 2 for $16, something like that. And so I spent the entire day, and I did really well. I went back to the docks 2 times. To the box, okay? Back to the docks, back and forth from the flea market 2 times. 2 hours. I had to go. I had nobody work with me, so I said, listen, can you just keep my spot here and an hour out and an hour out and back, and I have now another, 70 or 80 pens to sell. And I was doing killer. I was doing, promote. I put a handwritten sign, be the first in the world to have these unusual pen watches come in. So they sold really well. 3 times back and forth. At the end of the day, I had to split my money with him, and I had made $120. This is the most I'd made in about a month or 2. I mean, I was having some difficulties financially. So the next day, I went, and this time I paid my way in, got my own booth. And this time, because I had a bigger booth and everything, I made $280 that day. The next day I came in, and I hired somebody to work with me, and I bought 2 booths, one on this side, one on that side, and I hired a teenager to go back and forth to the docks on his in a little moped. He didn't even have with a carrier, to go back and forth and get a box every couple of hours for both of us. That day I made $550. Good, my 3rd day in this business. So how did I started small. Say, I can start small. I can start small, but I start. I can start small, but I start. Let me hear you. So you don't have to start the business in exactly the same way you think you have to start it. Start it in any way it can work. What's the first thing you have to do is what? Think what? Selling. How do I get some stuff and sell it right away? No computers, no nothing. I have to go, who's going to do it? Well, I'm not going to go back and forth. It's not even worth it. Understand? Say, I understand. All right. The other thing, if you don't have financing, of course, you can go to what? A bank or an institution or private lenders. Yes? You can do that, and you can pray. Today, when Bill comes back, he's going to give you a much better method. Good or good? All right, because he dealt with that. Now, the next thing you can do is you can get a co-signer. What is it? Co-signer. What does that mean? Someone else who has credit, you borrow their credit, right? They're going to co-sign your loan of any say short. So that's one of the reasons that you are really nice to family and friends. So if you're not doing great financially, you better be nice to people, because if you're nice to them, they might be willing to co-sign a small loan for you. Yes or yes? Co-signing works really well because there's very little to do with you. Yes? My son wanted to co-sign a loan. The bankers didn't know who he was, and whatever went to the bank and they said, "Are you kidding me?" And he said, "My dad's T. Harv Eker. Here's his book." And they said, "Well, how much do you need?" I said, "It was still different. As long as he co-signs, you're fine." The 5th thing you can do is what? Get a partner. If you need a partner for money, get a partner for money. One thing I'm going to teach you a little bit after is, you get partners for specific needs, not for, oh, this is my buddy, let's go into business together. Great. Okay? So if you need a partner, especially in things like real estate, whatever, if you've got the acumen, you got the sweat equity, if you got the idea, if you got the house, if you got the pot, then get a partner to pay for it. give them half the profit. They'll do it. Yes or yes? Yes or yes? I know at least 20 people personally who started with zilch and are now millionaires in real estate because they found the deal and then put it out there to the world for anybody who wants to have half the deal, put up to $50,000 or $100,000, and they've got it now. Now they don't need partners. And some of them still use partners because now they're dealing in $100 million deals. I have a guy who started with nothing 3 years ago. The apartment building he just bought has 120 units in it. Good or good? He's going to buy a condo-tel that has 350 units in it. That's his next thing. The thing's like $20 million. Good or good? Doesn't buy anything with his own money. Just used to getting partners. Okay, now, are you ready? You're not ready. Are you ready? Because I'm going to give you number 6. And number 6 is my fave. Number 6 is why you're here. Number 6 is basically one of my favorite true guerrilla business tactics. Ready? Yes. Number 6 is you go back to the basics of buying or creating and selling, and you reverse the order. I have never had a problem with cash flow in my life. Why? Because whatever I do my absolute best to always do this. Pre-sell. 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 Any product that I have before I buy it or deliver it. And this method, you can call it pre-sell. Another term for it is this. And it's my favorite. It's my favorite because it works and you have no people to pay back and you have no interest. You got no receivables. You got no nothing. And you got a business. You're in business by doing this. Yes or yes? Or in a new business or a new project. So this is worth every dime you pay for this course times a billion, all right? Not just for the initial financing, but an ongoing guerrilla business rule. The question is this: why should I pay for a product? You're the one who wants it. You pay for it. I'm just the middle person. So what's the big deal if you pay for it a little bit earlier? Understand? I learned this lesson very early on in my early business years. I was a builder, and I worked with my dad. And, we didn't have that much money, so he would spend all of the money that he had just for the down payment on the land. Then we'd have to borrow everything else we could. And we certainly couldn't build any houses. So what we would do is what you see normally, it went away for a while, but now it's back, is that we would go to the architect, and we would have them go to get a rendering person, an artist, and he would draw an artist rendering of the homes, of the elevation like a picture, and he would draw out the floor plans that you could choose from. And then we framed them beautifully, and then we got a little trailer about this, a lot less than the size of this stage, half of the size of this stage maybe, and we placed it on the property with a sign, and we would hang the pictures and the floor plans on the inside walls of the trailer, and with a little table and chairs desk, that's all we had, and we would do what? Pre-sell. What's the word? Pre-sell the homes. Good or good? Now that's a normal thing today, pre-sales, yes? Well, it went away for a while because, people stopped doing it, but now it's back. So literally I understood that you could pre-sell a $150,000, $200,000 item. Hey, that just got lodged in my mind. Now, why would you, my father used to always say, well, why should I put up that money? It's their house. Why should I pay the interest? It's their house. Let them buy it. Well, they're only buying from a picture. So what? If they don't want it, the next person will. Good or good? And you always gave them a little bit of a deal. That's the clincher. You give them a break or give them something special for buying what? Early. So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this house is going to be the same house in 8 months as it is right now. right? Whether you buy it now or buy it in 8 months, it's the same house. If you have a little foresight, a little vision, and you like this floor plan, you like the way this house looks, I don't know, this is our finishes, this is our carpeting, it's all right here for you to look at. Instead of $180,000, you're going to buy it for $150,000. Or you can wait for it to be finished, and it's $180,000 because I've got to pay interest all the way along. And it's your interest. You want to pay interest, or you want to buy it now cheap? What do they buy? Now, cheap. Yes or yes? Say, I can do this. This is for anything. At Fitnessland, which is the fitness company, the fitness home retail company that I own, I did exactly the same thing. Remember that I'm going to tell you a story, yes? Of how I started, yes? Remember I started with $2,000 that I borrowed on my what? My Visa card. And with that money, I used it to pay the first and last month's rent in this little store space. Now, I called all the prospective suppliers of the equipment until I found one. How many? One who would give me 30-day terms on one rowing machine. You know the rowing machine things? You know, you kind of that? And he was the only one that would give me 30-day terms. Everybody else was COD. And I told him I wanted to feature it in the store. Which was pretty easy considering it will be the only piece of equipment in the store. This is the feature. While I was hand painting and fixing up the store before opening, I put up a sign that said home exercise equipment, and people would walk in. Then I had a little demonstration platform that I created, and I would do a really hot demonstration on that platform. And then I would sell the rower. And then I would say, I have good news and I have not so good news. The good news is, this is the best rowing machine on the planet. It turns in, as you can see, to an entire home gym, all in one machine. The bad news is, you couldn't get one of these if you were the Pope. Okay? We're completely out of stock. Now, I would say we have a few more coming in a couple of weeks, and if you want one from this shipment, you can reserve it. And they go, well, with a deposit. They go, how much is the deposit? I go, $647.50. It's full price with the tax. And they go, is that the deposit? I said, well, that's if you want it from this shipment coming in 2 weeks. If you want to put down just $100, that's okay, but you'll wait a couple of more months. And what they want? And I look at their tummies and I go, well, you want to go on now or you want to wait another couple more months? Oh, I got a wedding to go to. Okay, I'll put it down right now. Okay. Now, I collected 12. How many? 12 deposits. I sent the company a money order for the rowers, and I used the profit to pay my rent for the next month and 2 more sample pieces of equipment in the store, a stationary bike and a treadmill. Now I had a big what? 3 pieces of equipment that were all features. Kept doing demonstrations. I really only sold this one piece, this rowing machine. Kept doing demonstrations at the front of the store. And I started to get the wind of something here. See, what happened was the store was really skinny. It was like a bowling alley. Literally, it was from the edge of the stage to maybe here. And that's kind of exaggerating a little bit in width. It was really narrow, 80 feet long by about 12 feet wide. Okay? Really tight. And this door was right there. I put the demonstrator platform right here at the front of the store so that maybe people could see me from the outside when I was demonstrating. That was my hope. So I put it right in the front. The rest of the store was completely empty. Put that on with the rower. I get on there, I do my demonstration. What would happen, unbeknownst to me though, was that people would walk in, right, and they would stand over here to watch the rower demonstration. Which meant they would automatically, if 2 or 3 people were there, the door would now be what? Blocked. And I said, oh my God, they're blocking the door. This is a drag. Except for one thing. What I would start to see is that people, after a couple more people, that door would have to stay open with people's butts sticking out because they were blocked from getting in. And then I started people going by, kind of like doing this, going, what's going on here? What's going on here? Hey, what's going on here? I don't know, they're doing something, some big demonstration there. Well, let me see. And then more people would be behind them. And pretty soon, the more it got blocked, the more popular it became. And so I started bringing in a few people, and people would say, well, can I stand over here? I go, no, you have to stand over here. It's the best view for the demonstration. And we'd try to block the door. So then I got even smarter. I put the cash desk, which was way over there, I brought it right to the front of the store. So everything was happening the first 4 feet. And there was nothing else in the whole store. Nothing. I'm trying to think of this right now. I remember, like, you walk in this store, it's like all busy right here, and then there's nothing. Just space. So anyway, so I blocked up the whole thing, and it worked out really well. And so people started having a bit more of a crowd to it. And the more crowd it got, the more interested people became. Yes or yes? So what happened was, the next round, I pre-sold 40. How many? 40 rowing machines. And here's the thing. I told all the people to come back for their rower all on the same day with between 11 and 12 o'clock. And if you didn't hit that time, your rower was given to someone else and you could get it next month. And you couldn't get your deposit back. It's a non-refundable deposit. Full price. So everybody, now there's 40 people, right? And they'd all come at the same time. Now, I got 40 people coming within an hour, and they're not only coming in, and they're doing the cash desk and all this stuff, but they've all got these big boxes of rowing machines that they're dragging out with them. And now the people on this, it was a pretty high traffic area, people on the street, people on the road, I hear cars stopping, I hear things, what's everybody dragging these big things out of boxes out of their house? So there they are, they're dragging this stuff out, because they all came, it was like we were giving this stuff away. And so finally, in fact, I remember I was kind of in the back of this crush over here. And I made sure I didn't have a lot of help, by the way. So it would be even busier. And they'd have to wait in line and block the door with their machines and everything, right? And so it formed a little line about the door. It was really cool. A little line up at the door. 5, 6 people trying to get into this little store to pick up their rowing machines, right? And so everyone, of course, walking by and go, some people, and I'll tell you the story at World's Greatest, but some people, I would notice the door's over here. Outside, there's a lineup of people picking up their rowers that have to wait in line. So there's like 6 people in line. I would notice out of my window that some people who didn't even know what it was would just... and they wait in line. And then the more people come and wait in line. You say, what's it for? I don't know, but it must be good, right? It's gonna... Here they were, waiting in line to get into the store. And then, when they would get in line, you get some people going, I do my little rower demo and all that. I had a person on the cash register then, and a person giving them their rowers and stuff. And then I hear it go, what is this thing from the back outside there? Oh, it's a super hot rowing machine that turns into a home gym. It's the only piece you'll ever need. It's the best piece of equipment in the world. And then all these people are dragging it out, like all these people walking out with this. And the guy would go, well, how much is it? $647.50 included tax. You go, oh, I'll take one. And I go, well, they're really hard to get. If you want one, you have to put it in. Okay, wait, hold on. Do we have any more in the back? Can we get 1 or 2? We have 2 more? That's it? For 3 more months? Okay, I might have one. No, my brother might want. I'll take 2. I'll take 2. I'll take them both. Pass me your credit card. Okay. It was a frenzy. You know what? When you guys buy stuff at the back of the room, not much has changed. It's exactly what it used to look like then and now. True or true? Yeah, I mean, people don't change much. Your tactics, your methods, they work. Yes or yes? But I want you to model it. So people started coming in bunches, more crowds, all that, passing stuff overhead. And eventually I began pre-selling. What's the word? 100 rowers at a time. I didn't buy them, I pre-sold them. And then I told every one of them, it was always the same story. Come back between 11 and 12 on Saturday. If you miss 12 o'clock, 12:01, you don't get your rower. You must be in line prior to 11:50. And these are pretty highfalutin people, whatever. But they had to be in line. There they were in line every Saturday. So pretty soon at 100 at a time, everything got even crazier. And this is when, as I said earlier, the police came in, and actually the government, not the police, the government came in, the local municipality came in, and they passed a bylaw in the, whatever they did at nighttime, that I had to hire 2 police officers on Saturdays to guide traffic around my little store. There were big, huge, humongous stores in my area. They didn't have to hire anybody. They made me, it was $75 an hour per cop. I had to hire 2 cops for all Saturday, from 10 in the morning till 5 o'clock, or they wouldn't let me be open anymore. They said, well, take away my license, my permit, because I was obstructing traffic on the sidewalk and in the road. I said, I'm not doing anything in the road. They said, what's that? And I'd take a look, and there'd be 15 cars, double parked with their trunks open, and the guy's still in line. And he's looking like this, and they're going, what do I do? My car's double parked here, and people couldn't get around. Anyways, it was a good time. Good or good? So a few months later, I picked up the deposits for 100 rowers. That came to about $60,000. Yes or yes? Yes? Because I didn't want to use the tax. And this time I made a phone call to the rower supplier, and I said, listen, I need a favor. He goes, what is it? I said, you've been really good with me, 30-day terms, I've always paid, right? He goes, oh yeah. I said, we buy lots of volume, right? He goes, you're the biggest customer we have by far. I said, yeah. I said, I need a favor. I need 60 days on this one shipment. He goes, I can't do that. I said, I need 60 days, or I have to go with a different rowing machine company. I need 60 days only on one shipment. I need you to do me a favor. And I told him why, yada, yada. And he goes, okay, I'll have to get a pass. Talk to the president of the company talks to me on the phone. You know, it was an infant industry. So even the manufacturers weren't like rolling in cash or something. They were like, hopefully they'll make it, yes? So finally, the guy says, okay, 60 days. I took the $60,000, and instead of buying rowing machines, I opened another location with that money. This was a nice store. It was decked out, had all kinds of equipment, had nice posters, had the nice thing, had the nice cash desk instead of a little piece of wood with, a banker's box on it. And it was done pretty well. And advertising and the whole bit to get people in the grand opening. And the rest, as they say, is history, because it's using exactly that methodology of pre-selling for the entire time, I was able to open 10 company locations in just over 2 years. And then I was able to sell half the company shares to the H.J. Heinz Corporation for well over $1.6 million. Good or good? Good or good? All right. And I still use the same method to this day. Do you see it? And it's the guerrilla business method of all methods. So, big potentials. When do you pay for a course? Before or after the course? Before. How long before? A day before? A month before? Sometimes, yes, right, sometimes 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. If you're in Quantum Leap, you have prepaid for courses that you may not be taking for 3 years. I guess I shouldn't have told you that. But of course, I give you a major discount for doing that, but it's still the same concept. Yes or yes? First you sell it, then you buy or create it. Say it with me. First I sell it, then I buy or create it. Can you do that? You have to do that. Period. That's how you do business. It's how you do business. Oh, Harv, my service doesn't lend itself to that. Wrong answer. Every service. Are you eventually going to sell it? Yes or no? Then you can pre-sell it. Sometimes you need drawings, sometimes you need demonstrations, sometimes you need a prototype, sometimes you need a good mouthpiece, but you can always pre-sell it. Remember, if they're going to buy it later, they just buy it now, and they get a better deal for doing it. Why shouldn't they do that? Good or good? So even if you're selling to, a high-volume buyer, sell from a sample, sell from a rendering, sell from prototypes. Don't produce 10,000 of something and then go try to find a buyer. With property, get an option. What's the word? Get an option first, then sell it, then buy it. I have an acquaintance who made $160,000 on a piece of property in 10 days. He found out about someone who was selling a piece of property before it got listed, kind of a farmer type of guy. He got an option. What's it called? For $1,000, he purchased an option for that property for 30 days. He put up a for sale sign on the property, and didn't even have one on it before. No other ads. Someone drove by a week later and ended up buying it, and this fellow then exercised his option and sold it. Made $160,000 clear in 10 days for $1,000 that he put up. His check hadn't even gone through yet. Good or good? Good. Say, I can do this. If you're in the computer consulting business or any other service business, pre-sell an annual contract. If you have a massage therapy clinic, pre-sell annual memberships, i.e., you get 50 massages, like one a week, and you pay for 40, as long as you buy them in advance, as long as you're a member. Yes or yes? Yes or yes? Your headline could read, sore neck, aching back, get 10 massages free. Anybody interested? Yes or yes? How do you do it? Well, you pre-buy them. You have a special card, 50, I stamp them, da-da-da. Come in as whatever you want, 50 frequency, and you only pay for 40. Good or good? Don't tell me you need financing. Don't tell me that. If someone says to me, I need financing, here's where my mind goes. Yeah, you're stupid. You're stupid to need it. You're stupid to want it. Forget it. You don't need any financing. Let the customers finance it. They're the one who wants to buy it. Let them pay for it. Yes or yes? Model fitness clubs. They get people to pay for 1 or 2 years up front, and 90% of those people go once or twice and never again. That's how they sell 5,000 memberships to a club that can only hold 200 people. They're not crying. Notice? All right, are you with me on this? Yes. Did you learn something major here? Yes. This is how gorillas, rich people do business, yes? Yes? All right, so here's what I want you to do. Pull out your Gorilla Business School action. Write several ways you can pre-sell your product or service in advance, where you can get the money in advance. Several ways you can pre-sell your product or service in advance. Please stand up for the declaration. Here it is. I use customer financing and pre-sell my product or service. I use customer financing and pre-sell my product or service. Again.
I use customer financing and pre-sell my product or service.
One more time, twice as loud.
I use customer financing and pre-sell my product or service.
Turn to somebody, give them a high five and say, you have a gorilla business mind. All right, listen, I have a lot more for you, good or good? But I think we need to take a lunch break first. Yes? Are you guys learning a lot? Is it simple enough? Is it usable enough for you? Do you, if you can't understand it right now, or just, can you use it at? Do you know this is something you can use later? And especially in all your future businesses, yes or yes?